It's been a little while. It's especially been a while since we were actually in Japan. We're back at home now. This setup's a little bit interesting. I'm like sat on the end of my bed. But anyways, enough rambling. We're here to talk about moving to Nozawa. So I tried my best to vlog when we got to Nozawa, but everything was quite new. It was really busy. We were with people all the time, pretty much from the get-go of getting there, and I just generally wasn't super confident about filming in front of people, especially people I hadn't really met before, and I obviously wanted to get to know them properly. So we didn't really have much footage of moving to Nozawa, doing all the things that you do when you're starting a ski season, essentially. But that's what this is for. I'm going to sit down today. We're going to talk through everything that you need to know about moving to a Japanese ski resort, registering as a citizen, and getting started with work, basically. If you want to check out one of my other vlogs, it talks about actually getting the visa to go to Japan, the working holiday visa. But this is just going to be focused on actually getting to the resort, starting work, all that kind of stuff. So let's get into it. We've travelled Japan for about 3 months now, and that's been incredible so far. You can check out everything that we've done on our YouTube as well if you really want to. But if not, and you're just interested in this, that's absolutely fine. We're moving to a place called Nozawa Onsen. Now, Nozawa Onsen is a tiny little ski village. It's one of the lesser known ones, but it's becoming much more popular these days. Most people will have heard of the ones in Hokkaido, like Niseko. You'll have also probably heard of Hakuba. That's another really popular one, especially with Australians. But this resort, it's a little bit cooler, I would say. It's a little bit less trodden. Probably like to keep it that way, but if you're watching these vlogs, then you'll know this is the place to be if you want to do a ski season. So in this video, we'll talk a little bit about how we found the jobs, how much money we saved, what experience we had, what our living arrangements were like, and how easy it actually is to get a job in a Japanese ski resort without any experience at all in ski villages, because that was us. But before we get into the sort of ski season side of things, why did we choose Japan? We chose to do a ski season when working in Japan because when we were travelling some other countries, we were in Southeast Asia for quite a while. We met a girl in the Philippines and we talked to her about Japan and how much we loved it. And it turns out that she had actually done a ski season quite a few years in this one ski resort. And she said, oh my God, if you're fancying it, come out there. I know you, I can show you around, etc, etc. So we were like, okay, this sounds like something we really want to do. When we came home, we looked into it and thought, yeah, I think this is what we're going to go for. And that's how we ended up applying to do a ski season. And the place that she was recommending us to go to was Nozawa Onsen. So that's the main reason we chose to go there. We did our own research and stuff as well on the village and the ski resort, and we just thought it sounded great. And the fact that we knew people there or knew a person there, it just made it feel a bit more accessible, a bit more of a great option to start off at when we'd never done something like this before. Obviously, when it comes to working in Japan, most people realise that Japan doesn't have the best working culture. So when it comes to ski season work, you know, do we really count it as work? Up to you. But we worked in a bar and a restaurant, and for us, that sounded like the best vibe. Skiing all day, working all night. Sounds amazing, very tiring, but the perfect combination. By the way, sorry if I keep looking down. I've just got lots of notes on my computer which are telling me what to say so I don't forget everything, basically. One thing before we get into sort of working in Nozawa as well is both of us have never applied for a ski season before. We've never done a ski season before. We weren't great skiers. I would like to say we're pretty good now. We're definitely not brilliant. But when it comes to the ski season, we were proper newbies. So this is definitely something you can do if you've never done it before. I would highly recommend for beginners as well, if it's something that you've always been interested in. So one of the questions we get asked about the most is how we actually found the job. Now for us, that was pretty simple. It was just some searching online. It came up with this website called Workaway. I'll link it in the description below so you can check that out. And basically we ended up just looking through a few listings on Workaway. We did actually pay for, it was like a couple's plan, I think. I can't actually remember what it was, and it's probably changed by now because it was quite a while ago. But you paid maybe like £40 for a couple if you were applying as a couple, but you can do it solo as well. And it allows you to apply for a certain amount of jobs or have a better profile, things like that. So we basically just sent a few applications, got a few phone calls back from some people. And after a few phone calls, we pretty much secured something that sounded absolutely fantastic for us, and it did end up being exactly what we wanted. So it was surprisingly straightforward. Obviously, when you don't have much experience in maybe the jobs that you're applying for, it might be a bit difficult, but both of us had worked in bar and restaurant sort of scenarios before, so there's not much required other than having good personality to work with people and not afraid of a bit of hard work and late nights. That's the only thing. But yeah, the application process and getting the job was pretty simple for us, so it was a win-win. So when should you apply for a ski season? Another big one. To be honest, we would recommend applying as soon as possible. Things get booked up really fast because obviously people are planning a year in advance essentially to make sure that everything's set up. We applied around June or July and things were starting to fill up then, but we felt that was a really good time to apply. So yeah, I think if you're applying for that season, probably June to July is the best for what we were applying for. Some people, for bigger companies, they apply a lot earlier because they need a lot more staff. But I still think applying around June or July would probably give you enough time to get something sorted for the winter season. And that doesn't mean that you can't get anything last minute, it's just that the options for jobs might be more limited. And if there's something that you're looking for specifically, a certain type of job, how many hours you want to work, etc, etc, it's probably best just apply as far in advance as you can really, or at least start applying or looking to apply. So, most excitingly about Nozawa Onsen. So, Nozawa Onsen is a traditional mountain village in the Nagano prefecture in Japan. It's famous for the most amazing natural hot springs. So, being called Nozawa Onsen, there's one thing you know it will have, and that's good onsen, good Japanese public baths, good hot springs, and there's 13 free public onsens for people to use, which is like one of the best things about the village. You cannot come and live in Nozawa Onsen if you are not going to onsen. To be honest, a lot of the accommodations don't actually have showers or prefer you not to use the showers because of the free public onsen. They're absolutely fantastic. If you're not into onsen, oh, I don't even know if I would recommend Nozawa. Obviously, it's fantastic, but you've got to go. Like, that's the one thing that you can't skip out if you go to Nozawa. Obviously, for Westerners, a little bit weird. It takes you a while to get used to going to onsen. If you don't know what I'm talking about, give it a Google, because yes, it does require you to be fully naked. But once you get used to it, it's fantastic. You're in there with your friends and you make friends very, very quickly in onsen. So there's nothing held back in there. So yeah, definitely one to keep in mind if you're thinking going to Nozawa. But other than onsen, obviously it's known for its ski village. Now, it's not like some of the other big ski villages like Niseko or Hakuba. It's much more of a small, quaint Japanese village with a bit of a ski field attached. It doesn't really feel like a resort vibe, which makes it so different because it's such a small traditional village, and mostly Japanese people are living there. There's no huge hotels, no huge accommodations, so it does get booked up very fast, and obviously there's not as many places to work as maybe some of the other big ski resorts. But that's another reason that makes it absolutely fantastic. So with our jobs being cleaning apartments, working in a restaurant and working in a bar, depending on where you got put or depending on what job was fitting best for you, that's mainly what our jobs entailed. With our job, we actually got accommodation included in that. So we were in a huge house with around 24 people, and honestly, it was amazing. Everyone in there was so like-minded. We had great community in there. Everyone was cooking together. We had a really fantastic group. Now, I know not everybody has that when they go to a ski season. It can be really difficult, especially if you do have people in there who don't really have the same personality as you. But everyone is kind of out working, different places, different times, all that kind of stuff. So you don't always feel cooped up with 24 people. We definitely didn't anyways. We shared the house with some people who would work really early mornings and then we would work really late nights. So it was always kind of a half and half in the house. It wasn't like 24 people in there all at once, so that made it a lot better. And that's maybe one big thing we would say to look for with your job, is that maybe in the bigger ski villages, unsure, but maybe they are better for accommodation if it doesn't come included. But in somewhere like Nozawa Onsen, the ski villages are so small that finding accommodation separate to your job might be difficult. There is larger towns nearby that do have a lot more accommodation, but in the village itself, which is obviously where you want to be, because then you can just get on the ski field really early every single day. If you don't have the accommodation, that wouldn't be as easy. So maybe that's one thing to make sure that you have if you do think about doing Nozawa. Maybe the other ski resorts are different, like I said, but that would be a check on basis depending on what ski village you're choosing to go to. Okay, next thing, let's talk money, because this is one thing people really want to know about, and it's so hard to find information on there from people who have done a ski season and like how much everything actually costs and how much you make, because the majority of people know you don't earn a lot of money in Japan. Japan is actually really cheap to live there. The food costs are low. Grocery costs are fairly low depending on what you're getting. You need to know about how much everything's going to cost you. So before arriving, we made sure that we had, I'm going to read these off here so I can remember, but we made sure we had enough money to cover flights, the travel around Japan, food, ski equipment and initial setup costs. So at the time we didn't have our own ski gear, we just had clothing, and the clothing wasn't the Japan vibe, which we soon found out. But our boss did say prior to going that he had a lot of extra rental gear that he didn't mind that we use, like old boots that people had left there, old skis, old snowboards. So we knew going that we weren't really going to have to pay for rental if we didn't want to. But that's obviously something you'll have to factor in yourself. If not, it'll be taking your own ski gear there, which is like a whole other cost in itself. But we didn't actually do that, so we'll just chat through the costs that we actually used. So a bit of stats on kind of what we saved, how much it cost, how much we made from our jobs, all that kind of thing, just so you have an idea of maybe what you'll need. So me and Mark, as we were travelling together and working together, we had saved around £70,000 for a full year in Japan. Now that is definitely way more than you need. We really didn't spend that in the whole year, but we always save too much so we can come home with more money. It means that we can travel more in a future time, or you know, if we needed to stay home for longer and we couldn't get a job for as long, we've got money to come back on. But that's kind of the number that we had to go out with in the first place. So one of the biggest costs when doing a ski season is your ski pass, your season pass. Now some jobs do actually include a season pass, but I would check the kind of fine print about what comes with that ski pass. For us, a lot of the jobs we were applying for said include shared ski pass, blah blah blah, which means that like the company that you work for has maybe 1, 2, 3, however many season passes that they share between staff members. Now if you're okay, it depends on your job as well. If you don't think you're going to ski or be able to ski every single day, then maybe a shared pass is okay, because then you can have it on the certain days you're off or whatever. For our jobs, because they were nighttime only most of the time, apart from cleaning your department, it meant that we could ski pretty much every day. So for us, having a shared ski pass really wouldn't have been feasible, because it would have meant that we wouldn't have been able to ski on the majority of days that we were there, and obviously we wanted to ski as much as possible. It cost £440 per person for that, so it was £880 for both me and Mark cost wise for our season passes, which generally I don't think is too bad at all, especially if you're skiing pretty much every day. In total, our spends for everything in that season was £6,501, and that's for two of us. So again, not a lot of money. It really didn't cost us a lot. And you know what? I thought it would be a lot more considering how much we ate out, like on the mountain. But again, food's so cheap compared to like a ski resort in France or in Europe in general. And then we had so much coffee, we were drinking a lot. Most nights we were at the bar. If we weren't working at the bar, we were going to the bar. There's so much drinking culture, ski villages anyways. And because it's mostly like Aussies, British people, they like to drink. So it was fun, but we thought it was going to cost us so much more, in all honest. But we did have a great kitchen and we had friends to cook with and stuff, so there was quite a lot of time that we ate in. You know, it wasn't every single meal of the day out. We did make a lot of food ourselves, and because we were working at night time, sometimes you didn't always have time to go out for dinner. It was more like lunch and a snack in the evening. So yeah, it was a combination, but it didn't really cost us that much in the end for what we thought it was going to cost. And then our earnings, so spending around £6,500, we made around £4,500. We actually made exactly £4,390 together. Now, minimum wage in Japan at that time was around £5 an hour. I think it's a little bit more in a couple of areas, a little bit less somewhere else, but it's around £5 an hour, which would sound absolutely minuscule, which it kind of is, but for the cost of living in Japan, it's actually not terrible, because eating out is so much cheaper. Cost of living in general is so much cheaper. So even though it's a very small amount of money, I would never go to do a ski season in Japan if I was wanting to save money to travel more. You definitely wouldn't want to do that, I wouldn't imagine, because we definitely didn't make money there, and we definitely didn't have a crazy expensive time. We didn't try to save money at all, but I feel like it just wouldn't be very feasible if that's what you were aiming for. You're not earning a huge amount. For me, I started off on the same wage as everybody else, but I ended up doing more work for my boss for certain extra things. So it meant that my boss decided to give me a slight pay rise, not a huge amount, but I was maybe earning like 50 pence more an hour or something like that, just because I was doing a little bit more of a managerial role. I don't know if that's possible in all jobs, probably not, but it was fantastic to see that, you know, doing more work did get me more. I mean, it also got me more work because I was doing more, but you know what I mean? It was all in good fun, and it meant I could have an extra beer and not feel that bad about it. So when we talk about how much we made versus how much we spent, it was a net spend of £2,110. So 4 months cost us just over £2,000, which for 2 people, by the way. So in reality, that is insanely cheap for what we got. Our accommodation was subsidised in our wage packets as well. I forgot to mention that part. So it wasn't like we were paying for it, but it just came out of our wage. It was like all kind of included. But yeah, it was just over £1,000 each for 4 months of travel and living in a ski resort in Japan, skiing every day, loving life, buying the other things that we needed as well. So yeah, absolutely fantastic and really extremely affordable if you don't have a lot of money to go with. Like I said, you maybe could save. We don't think that was feasible, but we also wanted to enjoy ourselves, so it depends what situation you're in. Everyone is not the same. Everyone is not traveling for the same reasons. Me and Mark are lucky that we have the jobs at home to save money to go with, so we can kind of enjoy ourselves a lot more when we go away. But yeah, it's very seemingly affordable when you compare traveling in multiple other countries or ski seasons in other countries, especially like Canada, America, France. In Japan, the snow is the best, the villages are the best, the vibes are the best. You can't go wrong. So let's talk about the main reason people go and do a ski season in Japan, and that is the snow. And I tell you now, it lives up to the hype. We have never done powder skiing before. We had no idea what that really meant. And we had no idea what it was going to be like, and it blew our minds. I think we went from like 0 to not 100, 0 to 1,000. It was one of the best ski seasons that Nozawa had had in years with the amount of snowfall. So we were extremely lucky. Now, obviously, it isn't always like that, but the majority of the time it is. And if you're staying there for the full season, you are guaranteed to get some amazing snow, especially in this village. It is one of the most well-known villages for fantastic snow and fantastic routes. I remember when we first got there, I'll probably insert some videos of this, but we first got there and I got Mark to film me opening the curtains because it said there was going to be snowfall. I look outside and I am absolutely in awe of the amount of snow. You can't see it.
Yeah, I'm gonna just okay. Oh my god.
What the
Overnight.
That was such a small amount to the snow we ended up getting. It looked like a tiny smattering and we were gobsmacked by the amount of snow that had fallen overnight. Little did we know that it would be past our heads high in the town, never mind at the top of the ski field where it was over 2.5 meters of snow. If you're a skier or a snowboarder in general, or if you absolutely love powder skiing, this is a place that you will want to try. Another thing is getting the gear that you want. So like I said, we had a few things that we took with us, a little bit of ski gear and stuff, but we didn't have a lot. So before we went to Nozawa, we did actually have a little shop around Tokyo to get some little bits. So we knew that we wanted a helmet, and maybe I think Mark wanted a new jacket and a couple of extra bits. I was going to get some new pants because I only had the tight fitting flared ski pants, which is great for ski racing, but not the vibe in Japan, and we didn't want to stick out. So we thought, let's go get some new gear. We know it's going to be well priced, and we treated ourselves basically. So the place you want to go to in Tokyo, if you are going to go get some ski gear, is Tokyo's famous ski street. So it's located in Jimbocho and Kanda Agawamachi, I think it's called. Again, I'll link the location in the description below. It's basically known as the Kanda Sports Good District, and basically it's one full street of like snowboard gear, skiing gear, everything that you could possibly need basically to get good ski clothing and ski products and everything that you could possibly need, and it's really, really well priced. So if you want to get something before you go to your ski resort, that's definitely a place to check out. The other thing is as well that Nagano has some amazing secondhand stores. So the Second Street and Book Off stores, and they all have amazing secondhand ski gear, boots, skis, snowboards, bindings, everything that you want basically. I did actually halfway through the season, or maybe a quarter of the way through the season, end up buying myself some ski boots from a secondhand store in Nagano. They were brand new in the packer with the tags and never being worn, and I got them for half the price of what they were meant to be. The most important thing is, I suppose, if you're new to skiing or new to a ski season and you haven't got anything and you're wondering, oh my god, I've got to buy all this stuff before I go and take it with me, you will probably get better stuff for a cheaper price if you buy it in Japan when you get there. But another thing about moving to a ski resort in Japan is actually registering your address as living and working in that town. Now, it depends how you come into the country. So some people, when they're doing a ski season, they go straight to the ski village. So they arrive in maybe November, December, go straight to the ski village, live there, and only do kind of the ski season, then go home, maybe a little bit of travelling afterwards. But if you're kind of doing the full year and maybe going a bit earlier than your ski season, you'll actually have to register your address twice. So we got to Japan in the August, and we lived in Tokyo for a month, travelled for 2 months, and then moved on to the ski village. So that meant that we had to register when we first got into the country as citizens living in Tokyo. So we had to register our address once there. Now, the thing is, when you move to a different address, you have to deregister from the first place you were living in and then re-register in the new village. So it's quite a lot of admin, but it's all completely necessary. You have to do it. So it is a little bit difficult, especially if you don't speak Japanese, but people are obviously so helpful. They'll work you through it as much as they need to and try help you as much as possible. If you are not staying somewhere else and going straight to the ski village, it's a little bit easier, because as soon as you get into the country, once you get settled in, I think you maybe have like a couple of weeks to register your address. But what you want to do is you go to the local town hall. So in Nozawa, you go into the town hall and you basically fill in a lot of forms. I do recommend signing up for the local insurance. Now, obviously, most people get travel insurance before they go anywhere on a working holiday visa or an extended visa regardless, or extended travel. But the reason I recommend getting the local or the Japanese health insurance, so by getting the Japanese health insurance alongside your travel insurance, it really came in handy for me. I did have an accident at one point during the ski season, which you will definitely see later on in the vlogs. So if you want to find out what it's like going to hospital in a ski resort in Japan when you really hurt yourself, then there's some information on that as well. I would have been able to claim back on my own insurance, but the point is that I got the treatment very, very fast. All I had to do was hand in my health insurance card, which you carry on you at all times with your ski pass. And then I think I had like 3 appointments over 3 weeks. I had treatment as well, and I think it cost me £7 in the end, which obviously I wouldn't even bother claiming back. I don't even think I could claim back on my insurance with the excess. But yeah, it cost me £7 and it was no hassle at all. There was no paying out cash when I got there, a lot of money, and then having to claim it back or anything like that. It was super simple, super easy, and it really wasn't that expensive either. I think it's a percentage of how long you're staying in Japan for. So obviously it totally depends on how much it costs, but I think it cost us maybe around 3,000 to 6,000 yen, something like that. It was cheap. It was about £30-60. So I would say it's worth it, but obviously it's totally up to you, and if you've got your own insurance, it doesn't really matter, but it just makes life a lot easier. I feel like it's quite an exciting thing to do, because then once you've registered your address, you have your residency card, it has your address on the back of it, you feel like you're actually living in Japan, you've got your little job ready to start. Once it's done for the whole season and you're absolutely sorted until you leave, and then you need to deregister. But obviously I'll talk about that at the end of the season. I'm pretty sure I'm going to do a full vlog on that when we leave. But when I'm looking back, starting all these vlogs now that we've got, we had no idea how fantastic this 4 months of our lives was going to be. It was probably some of the best we will ever experience, and I hope you really enjoy seeing what we got up to. And if you've got any questions, if there's anything you want to know about moving to a ski resort, anything about Japan, anything about getting a working holiday visa, like I said, you can check out our other applying for a working holiday visa video for the UK to Japan. That is on our channel. But yeah, that's everything. So thank you so much for watching. Hope we're going to be a bit more regular for you again. That is the goal. So that is pretty much, I think, everything you need to know about moving to a ski resort in Japan for a ski season in the winter. We shall catch you in the next one.